That's a way you could sum it. I'm just adding up those two numbers, adds up to the 200. I'm going to do the same over here. We're just adding up these two numbers. I'm going to do it by saying equals SUM, shift 9, up arrow twice, holding down shift, down arrow one time. Again, I'm just adding them up. You could do it manually, enter, and there's the 11,520. Now we need to take the average of those two. If we were to take out a calculator, we're saying that it costs 11520 divided by 200 units. Therefore, they cost about 57.60. And notice we're talking pennies now. We've got some pennies tossed into the equation. And so note what happens when I put that into this cell. If I said that this equals the 11,520 divided by 200, we get 58. That is rounded, and I want you to realize that, because if we use that calculation somewhere else, it's actually going to calculate as if it was 57.60 that we came up with. If we want to see that, we'd have to, I'm going to make this large. I'm going to highlight all of these, and I'm going to add decimals to them. I'm going to go to the Home tab. Here's the Home tab on the ribbon. I'm going to go over to this item here in the numbers group, and we're going to increase decimals. If we do that, then we can see that it's actually 57.60. So that is a rounding issue. Just keep those in mind as we go through these problems. There could be some rounding issues. So I'm going to recalculate that in the total. We're going to say we have 200 units times 57.60 is that same 11,520. Then we can do our journal entry over here. We're recording this purchase that happened. So inventory is going to go up by 7,200. And we're going to assume we bought them on account 7,200. Therefore, I'm going to double click on the inventory in Z63, go to the end of it, plus 7,200, enter. Inventory went up to 11,520, which matches our worksheet. Then we are going to go to the accounts payable in Z64, double click, go to the end, plus, and go to the credit, which will increase the amount that we owe. No effect on net income. Notice no effect on the income statement accounts when we purchase the inventory. Going to left click here, go over here till it snaps, and move to the next item. Notice I'm on this line, so I'm going to be here on F68, and the next item that happens is on 525, where we purchase 200 units, 200 in the purchase column, tab at $62, tab. I'm going to multiply those out by saying equals, I'm using the left arrow twice, times the 62, and enter. Again, you could just 200 times 62. Then what we're going to do is I'm going to say this layer, I'm going to bring it down to this row, and then I'm going to use this layer and bring it underneath. So I'm going to highlight these. I don't need that last number, and right click, copy. Then I'm going to put it right underneath, right click, I'm pasting it 1, 2, 3, just the values only. Then I'm going to take this, highlight, right click, copy, put it right underneath, right click, paste 1, 2, 3. Now we need to calculate the average price based on this information. We have 200 units at 57.60, 200 at 62. So we're going to add up the total units, add up the total cost, then take the new average. I'm going to do that by saying equals the sum, shift 9, up arrow twice, holding shift down, down arrow once. 200 plus 200 is 400. Going to go over here to the total cost equals SUM. Again, I could double click on sum, but I'm going to hit shift 9, up arrow twice, holding shift down arrow once, and 11,520 plus 12,4 is, enter, 23,920. Then we need to divide those two out. We pull out the calculator. It's 23,920 divided by 400 gives us 59.80 cents. If we do that here in this calculation, equals left arrow once divided by, right arrow once divided by left arrow once, enter, and we get the 59.80. Then if we were to recalculate that, we have 400 units at about 59.80. Again, the exact costs were 50, 55, 54, 60, 55, 60, 62, and 50. And we're coming up with about at this point, 59.80 equals 400 times 59.80. Remember, these are just assumptions that we are using, estimates. So then if we were to post this, then we would go back over here and we're posting the new purchased. So inventory is going to go up by this 12.4. Payables, we're going to say we bought them on account, is also going to go up with a credit. If we were to post that, that's a debit, that's a debit. They're the same thing. Therefore, it will make the debit balance go up by 12.4 to 23,920. Then double click on payable, go to the end, plus the 12.4 makes the payable go up to 53,720. The 23,920 matches the 23,920 on our worksheet. I'm going to take left click the document here, pull it to the left, and now I'm going back to my worksheet there, going back to the new column, which is going to be there on F71. And the next item that happened is that we made a sale on 5/29 for 160 units at $95. Once again, remember that 95 is the sales price. Doesn't have anything to do with this worksheet. This is the cost, but when we do the journal entry to make the sale, we have to first record the sale, then the cost of the sale. So I'm going to go into the cost of sale. That's what we're concerned with now, which has nothing to do with that 95. It has to do with the cost of the inventory. Therefore, we know that we sold 160. What is that cost? Well, we're saying it's about 59. And yes, you have to say the when you have an average because it's about 59. And once again, it's averaging here. So I'm going to say that it rounded it to 60. I'm going to highlight this column, make it large, go to the Home tab, go to the Numbers group, add, so that we can see that it's really 59.80. Then I'm going to go up here, left click, drag, and go to this item. Now I'm going to multiply equals left twice 160 times left once 59.80 gives us the 9568. Then of this layer, the 400 units at 59.80, we sold 160 of them. Therefore, we have how many left equals 400 minus 160. 400 minus 160 equals 240. Then they all cost 59.80. About 59.80. So then if we multiply that out, we have 240 times 59.80 gives us the 14,350. Then I'm just going to pull that over to the end here, or I can do another calculation. This equals the 240 times the 59.80 is that same 14,350. So now I'm going to post a journal entry. First, I'm going to post the sale, which was 160 units at $95. Where did we get that $95? The book just gave it to us. That's the sales price, not the cost. So 160 times 95 over here equals 160 times 95. Sales, revenue is going to be 15,200. We're going to receive cash at some point, AR at this point of 15,200. Going to double click on AR, go to the end, plus 15,200, enter. AR is going up. Going to go to income, could be revenue, income, sales. They're all income type names of accounts. Double click, go to the end, plus 15,200 and enter. Then we can record the cost of the goods sold. That's what we calculated there. That's the 9568. So we're going to say the cost of goods sold is the 9568. That will be the expense related to that revenue generation. So revenue went up by 15,200 and net income is going to go down by that expense now, 9568. By double clicking here, going to the end of it, plus the expense always goes up with a debit for the most part, 232,248, and then the inventory here, double click, plus we now consumed it, so it's going to go down in order to help us generate revenue, which is the definition of an expense. And now we're at this 14,352, which is the 14,352 there.